This program is made possible by the loyal financial support of the friends and partners of Family Policy Institute.
You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world.
Good evening and welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we're going to be talking about the SmartLife Smart Choices program that hopefully is going into many schools in South Africa. SmartLife and Smart Choices, as you know, is a values-based sexuality education curriculum that helps children in schools make wise choices, good choices, especially as they are bombarded with all kinds of confusing messages. So I'm going to be speaking to two ladies that are intimately involved with the Smart Choices program in schools in South Africa. The one is June Anderson, who's been involved with Smart Choices for the past 17 years. And the other is a former principal, Maggie Tulari. To both of you ladies, I welcome you to the program and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Errol.
Great. So I want to start with you, June. You've been involved with Smart Choices, SmartLife for 17 years. You've been doing a lot of work with that. I think one of the most important questions I want to ask June is, what do you attribute the success in schools, in some of the schools you've been working with? What do you think is the main factors with the success of Smart Choices?
Errol, I spent the last 26 years of my teaching career in a school in Pretoria where I was able to start or introduce the SmartLife programs in the form of two different programs. The one was the Smart Choices Sexuality and Relationship program, and the other one was the RADS Peer Support program. The Smart Choices Relationship and Sexuality program was actually presented by the founder of the program, Dr. Darlene, to our grade 9s every year for 7 successful years, from 2005 to 2012. The second program that I mentioned, the RADS, stands for Radically Different Species.
Okay.
And these are a group of peer leaders that are elected by their peers from grade 9s, 10s, and 11s. And they provided support for the learners. They provided emotional support and any other kind of support that they needed. The second purpose of the RADS was to provide an exemplary role model to the students with regard to character and morality, and especially in the area of sexual education and values.
Yeah, so if I can just come in there, June. So, you know,
yes?
we just saw the report from the Minister of Basic Education, the high teenage pregnancies in our country, which is actually a crisis. And I've read that Smart Choices is having a very good, beneficial effect on children. When they go through this program, there's schools that actually have brought that down. So what do you attribute that to? What is it in the program that is helping children to make better choices so teenage pregnancies actually go down?
Well, firstly, it was values-based. And if I can perhaps come in here with a research project that we actually studied afterwards. The results of this research project was made known only in 2013. But Dr. Darlene's program, Smart Choices, was actually rolled out at around about 2002. And we had it in our school from about 2005. Now, so this research came out after the program. And what they found when they did this research, after spending almost 12 years across the globe investigating successful programs that were able to change behaviors, and they found by studying these programs that they all had the same thing in common if they were able to successfully change behavior. And that was they incorporated 6 sources of influence that actually were found to change behavior. And these sources were, firstly, values. Secondly, skills. It was support, and it was incentive, and then a positive change in the environment. And this is what the RADS is supposed to do, the RADS peer support program. They actually contribute to a positive change in the environment of the school.
Yeah, and June, it's so great to hear this, because if you look at the stats on teen pregnancies in our schools and all kinds of other things that our children are grappling with, this is exactly what they need. And that's why we try to encourage parents, please, to contact your school governing bodies to ask them for smart choices, a values-based sexuality education curriculum that is helping children. Now, Maggie, I want to bring you in here. You've been the founding principal of a school in Gauteng where Smart Choices, Smart Life was rolled out. What is your experience? How did it impact the children in the school that you were the principal in?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. What I could say is that when I became a principal, it was in 2007, the town that I was working in was known as being a highly impoverished, highly illiterate community with broken families, child-headed families, households, and a high rate of teenage pregnancy. And even the sexually transmitted diseases like HIVs and others, it was known to be a place where these diseases are, the percentage is very high. Now, when our school started, it was the only high school, the first school within that community. And it started with grade 8 to 10. And learners who were coming to our school, most of them, they were coming from the surrounding areas, and mostly they were dropouts. Children were no longer going to school. And just because our school was the first one within the community, all those children flocked in. So we had an experience of undisciplined learners, rebellious learners, disrespectful learners, all those kind of challenges, those learners without morals and values. So it was not very easy for us. It was very difficult. And we had kids who were smoking, sexually active, involved in substances like alcohol and the like. And some of the learners who came to our school from the primary school, we were so much shocked that some of them, they will come being already pregnant and showing that they were sexually active from an early age. So we had to constantly deal with disciplinary issues, learners insulting, beating educators. So learners would fight, go to an extent of stabbing one another, and a lot of high rate of absenteeism and theft and vandalism. It was not easy. And from 2008, 2009, we had to introduce grade 11 and 12. Now we are faced with the results of grade 12. And, usually in South Africa, performing in high school, they will say it's when they look at the grade 12 results, how we perform. So in 2012, in 2010, we had an intervention of the SmartLife from June's institution, from June's school. Meanwhile, in 2009, our grade 12 results, our first grade 12 results, they were 75% pass rate. We achieved 75% pass rate. When this SmartLife program came in 2010, 10, with all those challenges, teenage pregnancy, sexuality, early age sexuality, and it was not easy. But it started from a small group and it grew. And within the few years of its introduction, the community started to see a change in the behavior of the kids. And then we had people getting interested. The community started to come in, policing forums, NGOs, parents, because the SmartLife program, it opens up the eyes of the children. It brings a moral values within the community, as June was talking about, those 6 sources of change of behavior, skills, incentives, all those, and values. Then the community started to change, and when change came, we started to see our more parents getting involved in the education of their children, and we started to become a team. The community and the school, we started to work together, and that in itself helped a lot. To such an extent that we saw our kids changing their behavior. They started to show more respect in their relationships with their parents, more respect in their relationships with their teachers and peers, and a greater sense of self-respect and self-confidence. And as learners became more confident and were helped to focus on achieving their dreams and destiny, there was also a change in their work ethic that resulted in the improved academic results. In 2011, the pass rate climbed high up to 93%. And by 2014, by 2014, we had gone up to 98%. Actually, it was 100% because it was only one learner who failed, and he wrote a supplementary exam, and then that learner passed. All the learners in 2014, all of them passed. And today when I speak, yes.
Just to come in there, because we are running out of time, it's an incredible story you're telling us here. A school struggling with all these things, sexual abuse and teen pregnancies and violence and all kinds of things. And then you introduce this Smart Life, Smart Choices program, and you begin to see that change as the former principal of that school. And even the academic results increase because of positive values that you're instilling in young people. And that's the argument that everybody's making. We look at what's happening at schools. We look at the results, what the Department of Education is putting out, the teen pregnancy crisis, and we know what the answer is. That children need guidance, they need values, they need principles in their lives, and Smart Choices provides it. And so Maggie and June, I want to thank you, women, for the work you're doing. Out there, it is not easy, but you're working hard at getting this program into schools to help children, and the results is there. You both know it, you've both seen it. You've heard from June, you've heard from Maggie, and now you're going to hear from Vusi Kokela, who's working in schools with children, administering the Smart Choices program. So more after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the program. I'm speaking to Vusi Kokela, and Vusi is rolling out programs, Smart Choices and Smart Life programs in schools in the Gauteng Tshwane district. Vusi, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure. Greetings to you and the viewers.
Thanks. Thank you, Vusi. So you've been working with the Smart Choices program in a number of schools in the Gauteng area, and you've seen the results of that. In the previous segment, I spoke to June Anderson and also a former principal, Maggie Tulari, and they gave us wonderful results of Smart Choices as they've rolled it out in their schools in the areas they're working in. Tell us what's it like being the results you've seen in the schools you've been working in.
Yeah, so for me, it definitely has to be relationships. We've seen improvement in relationships between teachers and learners. We've seen relationships improve between learner to learner. So the relationship improvement has been quite great, and it has had a ripple effect into the academics as well. It had a ripple effect into who they are as leaders in the community. I mean, some of them now, we are talking about learners that are in university. We are talking about learners that are doing medicine. But it started from relationships, and we saw that as well. It had a ripple effect into the numbers dropped in terms of teenage pregnancy. The numbers dropped as well in terms of reported cases of bullying. So overall, the improvement in relationships between learner to learner, between learner to teachers, and as well as parents, it has been one of the greatest impact. There are others, of course, but the improved relationships for me have been the best.
That's amazing, Vusi, because, the former principal, Maggie Tulare, was talking about similar results in the school that she was a principal in. And that is, they had all kinds of antisocial behavior, children fighting with each other, stabbing each other, rude to teachers, and then, of course, teenage pregnancies being a major issue in that school as well. And they instituted this SmartLife, Smart Choices program. And she said in 2-3 years or so, they began to see improved results and in the kids' behaviors. So you're seeing the same thing in that it's even improving the behavior of children because of the values and principles that's being taught in the Smart Choices program.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, that reduces teenage pregnancy, and it reduces risk to STIs and other sexually transmitted diseases. We've also seen, like with most of the schools, we had about 90 to 100% commitment to abstinence. The learners will just commit to abstaining. So it's very impactful.
So now we've got to look at what the Minister of Basic Education, the report she's given to the Education Portfolio Committee in Parliament, which is quite horrific. Over 500,000 children in schools fell pregnant. A lot of them impregnated by the teachers in the schools. Over 14,000 children between the ages of 10 and 14 years old were pregnant, 10-year-olds. So, Vusi, I'm sure you would agree that we have a terrible crisis in this country because many of these children cannot complete their education because of this. And the minister is not talking about the reasons behind it, what's driving it. I think we all know because of the policies of this government. But you saying Smart Choices is showing definite results, and especially in the teen pregnancy rate. Now, why is that, Vusi? Is it because, tell us what is it being taught from Smart Choices that is having this impact? What's it in particular?
Yeah, so SmartLife is different from other sexuality courses. In fact, most of what people call sexuality courses is actually just sex education. Now, what I've seen that SmartLife does is that it touches the head through information, but it also touches the heart of the learner through values, and it also touches the hands through skills. So with sex information, you have a learner that just becomes a parrot that can just repeat sexual content. But where you have sexuality education that we provide through SmartLife, you have a learner that is equipped to make decisions and to enforce those decisions assertively. So that's the difference that I have seen between other programs that exist out there and the SmartLife, which is value-based as well. That's very important.
Yeah, so Vusi, you've heard about comprehensive sexuality education, and you know that our Department of Basic Education is talking about implementing this in schools across the country to combat the teen pregnancies. Do you think comprehensive sexuality education is going to reduce the teen pregnancy rates in our schools?
From what I have seen, it's nothing new. It's just packaged differently. And if we are to be honest, it hasn't worked. So it's just a different clothing altogether or just a different package, but the content is the same from all the other sex education, sex information programs that have not worked. And if you look at the numbers that you have mentioned, for me, the numbers are saying that sex education in the schools is not working. And now with the COVID-19, we are seeing that the numbers have skyrocketed high. I mean, it's about 90%, if I'm not wrong, increase. And what that is telling us is that sex education is not working. But it's also telling us that there's a deficiency somewhere in the home, because learners are now at home more than they were in the previous years. So there's a deficiency somewhere in the home. The parent is needed. There's obviously something not working with the school as well. So we need SmartLife to bring sexuality education that is kingdom-based. We need it most now, where else we've been reacting and more contraceptive and giving more sex education that has not worked. We now more than ever need to respond with a program that is value-based, that is relationship-based, that helps the learners to value each other in terms of who I am as a male, who I am as a female, boy to girl relationship. That is what's going to help, and that is what has been helping in the schools that we've been part of.
Yeah, and Vusi, what you're talking about is proven results, as the former principal gave us proven results, June Anderson. There's also other trials being run in schools, and they're all getting good reviews. I've just been reminded, June said you have a testimony from a yes. teacher that yes. worked yes. with smart choices in the school, and she wrote this testimony because apparently, as the former principal was telling me, they were given awards by the provincial education department because of reducing teen pregnancies in their schools as a result of smart choices, and wanted to know what they were using and all of that. And this blows my mind, Vusi, is that the provincial education department know about the proven results of smart choices in reducing pregnancies, but yet they are still committed to pushing comprehensive sexuality education. That's crazy.
Well, I think the main issue is that we are sacrificing human lives. We are sacrificing lives for the sake of statistics, numbers. So with the program that we have with SmartLife, I just want to read, so excuse me a little bit if we lose eye contact. Okay, so this is from Felicia, who has been a teacher at the school for more than 13 years. The school is Mpumelelo in Brongelspruit, and she has been really a catalyst and a pillar to our program. We've been working with her for many years. She's unfortunately not well at the moment. She has had a back operation, but she sent me this and said, you know what, please share my testimony. And I would like to read what Ma'am Felicia has sent. She says, the impact of SmartLife in our school was remarkable. We saw a radical drop in teenage pregnancy, which was very high before SmartLife was introduced. We saw gradual improvement in morality, in respect and behavior. For example, when I started work at this school, I taught life orientation to grade 8, which is ages between 12 to 14. And when I told them about abstinence, they laughed. They laughed at my face and told me that that's impossible. There was a gradual improvement in our academics, and we became known as the best school around. The community was also impacted. When the parents asked me to talk to them on how to continue this trend, a community forum was formed with the help of the ward councillor, parents, and the community policing forum. Peace and family relations were slowly restored. That goes back to what I said about relationships. We just saw a great improvement in relationships. I continue. Today we have past learners that are doctors, lawyers, teachers, who were groomed by this program and who are making a decent living. I would like to add, most of these learners were orphans or raised by a single parent. So you're not just talking from someone who's been coming from a well-off environment, but we are talking about children that really had challenges, but have become doctors, lawyers. Okay, so let me continue with her testimony. When this change was noticed by the Gauteng North District, they requested our school to help educators in other schools. When there were big events for youth in our school was asked to host. We even hosted visitors from Germany who wanted to know how we managed the scourge of teenage pregnancy. We truly appreciate SmartLife and the team for the love, the commitment and dedication to our community. Today, we can point at a lasting impact that the SmartLife has brought into our school and community.
Vusi, that is amazing. It really is. That's a testimony of a teacher telling of proven results that's happened at a school of reducing the teen pregnancy rate. That German government has sent people. The officials in the Department of Education has been inquiring about the results. And yet the Minister of Basic Education is making reports about the teenage pregnancy crisis and saying that CSE is the solution for it, when they know, the people in the education department know that proven results come from smart choices. But Vusi, there you go. We want our viewers to see this. We're asking parents to contact their child's school governing body, to ask them to order smart choices as their preferred sexuality education curriculum because of these results that you've been talking about, so that we can make CSE redundant in this country. We must get CSE out of our schools. We must get smart choices into our schools. Why? Because we love our children. We want to take care of our children.
Yes.
We want to teach them values and principles that's going to help them to make good decisions. And we already have proven results across the country in certain schools. And Vusi, you're a testimony of that. So again, Vusi Kokela, thank you for coming onto the program, for sharing your insights. We thank you and bless you for the work you're doing. It is vital. It is life-saving. So keep on doing what you're doing.